A fortnight on from the Anfield Premier League clash, Liverpool and Arsenal meet again, this time in the FA Cup. It is the third round weekend as the 2020 winners take on the victors of 2022. These two clubs have lifted this famous old trophy a total of 22 times between them. It is a big game today. Audio commentary of all the action from the Emirates comes your way from 4:30. Welcome along to Matchday Live. Nigel Spackman is in the studio with me today. But first, some R&R. Rob and Ray are in North London.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. Good afternoon from North London. And as you mentioned, just 15 days on from a very entertaining Premier League tussle at Anfield. Liverpool and Arsenal lock horns once again here at the Emirates this afternoon. Ray Houghton is alongside me. A draw that both managers said in the week is one they would have looked to avoid it, but they're here now, and both will be desperate for a place in round 4 to continue their excellent tradition in this competition.
Totally agree with you, Rob. I think both teams will be looking for the victory. I don't think we're looking for a replay. I don't think that'll be on the cards for either manager, because there's so much at stake over the course of the season. You know, one's looking to try and win in Europe, as is Liverpool as well, but at a different level. But the league's so important to both of these clubs. It's usual, but we've won it once in the last 30 years. Arsenal were winning it, quite a few times under Arsene Wenger, and now they've gone to a side that looks reluctant to do it. Had a great performance against Liverpool, the best game of the season for me, technically, tactically. Thought it was absolutely outstanding. Two teams that were trying to win the game. We played excellent football. Liverpool probably thought they might have won it when they had the chance for Trent Alexander-Arnold when he hit the bar and just went over. But I thought it was a thoroughly cracking game, and I'm expecting the same again today. These two teams have got a rich history against each other. There's some real battles over the years, going back to '89, which I only remember too well, when Michael Thomas scored to make it 2-0 to win them the title and lose it for ourselves. But I think both managers will go out there with a game plan today to try and nullify the players from either side, because they're so good technically, and I think it could be a real tactical battle today.
In terms of the importance of the FA Cup for both clubs, has Christmas changed anything? 2 wins from Liverpool, top of the table, 2 defeats for Arsenal.
Well, look, Liverpool in a far superior position at the moment. They're in the semi-finals of the League Cup. They're through to the next stage of the Europa League. They're in today's match against Arsenal. They're currently top of the league. Now, Arsenal were a point ahead of us after that draw. Now we are 5 points ahead of them with the 2 wins that we've had and the 2 losses that Arsenal had in the matches recently at West Ham and Fulham, which everyone probably expected them to win that, but they didn't. And that's how competitive the Premier League can be. But it's getting back to winning ways as far as Mikel Arteta is concerned. They need to change their little run of form, and it's a blip, not more than that. They're too good a side, got too many good players, and I think they'll try and do that today. But Liverpool are really focused. Only a couple of seasons ago they weren't far away from doing the quadruple, and they might do it in a fashion this time around as well. So it's churning out performances, churning out results. That's the important part at the moment. And our manager, what he's done remarkably well all season, he knows when to change players around. He's put players in, he's given them an opportunity in certain matches that he's probably targeted for them. Because players will be, not playing constantly. He'll be going in and knocking on his own saying, when am I getting my chance, Jurgen? And that's, perfectly acceptable for them to do that. And the manager will say, I'll target this game for you. So I would imagine there'll be some changes today for the game. I don't think there'll be wholesale changes, but the manager will give some players who need minutes on the pitch some game time today, and then it's up to them to go out and produce the best football. There
will be changes because they are enforced as well, and the challenge for Liverpool for a month or so is, can you do it without your star man Mo Salah?
Of course you can. Listen, Liverpool have lost some of the most fabulous footballers over the years, and they always find a way of winning games. Now it'll be up to the others. It'll be up to Diaz, it'll be up to Gakpo, it'll be up to Nunez, it'll be up to Elliott, Gavenberg, Szoboszlai when he comes back for his slight injury he's got at the moment. It'll be up to them to start scoring the goals. Mo's away for 4 weeks, but of course we're going to miss him. But there's enough players there, in my opinion, from Liverpool's point of view, they've got enough quality to assist and score goals in the meantime. But we wish him back as quickly as possible, because he's been our talisman. You know, the number of goals he scores has been phenomenal, and he's done it season on season on season.
Yeah, and as Jurgen Klopp alluded to in his press conference on Friday, he will sort of hope, in the nicest possible way, that Egypt don't go too far in the Africa Cup of Nations, that Japan and Wataru Endo fail in the Asian Cup as well. We know those two won't be playing today for Liverpool. We know Dominic Szoboszlai is out with injury as well. We'll be back with full team news very shortly indeed.
Thank you, gents. Yeah, more from the boys to come through the course of the show. Nigel, good to see you. In terms of team selection today, this arguably is the most difficult balance the manager's got to strike through the season, given all the things the boys have just spoken about and given the workload coming up for Liverpool in January.
Absolutely, and the injuries, obviously Mo being away, I think is a big miss, obviously, but others have got to step up to the plate. So I think this is a cup tie that Jurgen wants to win. He wants to win it today, that's for sure. I think he goes strong, but with one eye on Wednesday night at Anfield as well against Fulham in a semi-final. So it's that balancing act. But once you get everybody together, say who's available, who's suspended, who's not suspended, who's injured, who's not injured, and who's away, who's not away, we still have a very strong squad.
As Rob's just outlined, Mo Salah away on international duty, as is Wataru Endo. If we look at the games they will miss and the games they could miss, they'll definitely be out for 4 matches coming up. And you think, OK, at that point, you can kind of just maybe deal with it. It's if they go further into the tournament and they end up missing something close to 8 games, then that maybe does start to tell on the score, especially if you pick up a few knocks and bumps and bruises along the way elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're all big games at this stage of the season, the turn of the year. You're in every competition. You want to get to a final. You want to get through to the 4th round of this. And then luckily, Europe doesn't start until March. But they're all massive games. So I think, as Jurgen was saying in his interview, I'd rather they would have gone for a short while rather than going for 8 games. And I think Endo's just started playing really well, settled into the team. It's a real shame for him that he's going away, a shame for the team as well. And we all know what Mo's capable of in the big games, scoring the goals. His goal-scoring record is phenomenal. But somebody else has now got to step up. Hopefully it's just for the 4 games. No disrespect to Japan or to Egypt. We want them back as quickly as possible.
On Endo, go back a couple of months, people wouldn't have expected him to have been a big loss when he went away. But over the last 5-6 games, he's really shown what he can bring to the team. And he's arguably been Liverpool's most consistent, one of the most important players in that spell.
Absolutely. I think he's just got to grips with what the manager and the team needs from him in that more defensive role. Because in Germany, when he was playing at Stuttgart, he did play that role, but he used to break forward and try and create things as well. And he started off doing exactly the same at Liverpool. But I think he's now realised that the most important thing is to protect the 2 centre-backs and fill him for the rest of the team, especially Trent when he goes forward. So he's going to be a big miss now. And I think it's a shame for him because I think he was just trying to cement himself into the starting 11 in every game because it's such an important position these days and let the others go and play. So he's a big loss. But obviously with Mo, with his goals in the big games, in cup ties, at Anfield, his record is phenomenal. But I just think Endo, we're going to miss him. But other players have got to step up and do that really important job in front of the back 4.
Regardless of who comes in the 2 positions, does it inevitably change a little bit how we play? Because nobody quite has that dynamic pace of Mo Salah and nobody quite defends in the same way in the 6 role as Endo.
Yeah, I was talking about Endo to start with. I think when McAllister's been asked to play in there, that's not his natural game. He wants to break forward, he wants to play those little passes on the edge of the box. But he's tried to do that job and done it reasonably well, but not probably to the standard that Endo was doing just before he's going away now. So I think today, if McAllister plays, I think in that role, he's got to protect the back 4, but especially the 2 centre-backs today, and cut out balls into the front men. I think probably Elliott up start, I would imagine, a great chance for him. And I think when he's come off the bench this season, I think he's been terrific. He's scored goals, he's created chances, but I think his work ethic has been superb. And the way he works for the team, I think he'll turn up today if he's given the chance.
I was going to say, is that work ethic something that needs to be displayed elsewhere across the team to make up for the absence of someone like Endo in the middle potentially?
Yeah, I think you know the jobs within the team, but away from home at the Emirates, they'd be fired up for this today. The fans there, they really want to turn us over. So it'd be a really high tempo game, and you can't switch off for a moment. And you've got to get the defensive side of the game right properly before you can go and really attack. But I think it's tactically, as Ray was saying, I think it's going to be a really interesting game for both managers today, and I think it's an exciting game to watch today.
Yeah, fascinating to see how both managers line up their teams. Let's find out. Rob and Ray, but the details of the two starting 11s. Guys.
Mark, thank you very much indeed. As we said a few moments ago, we knew there would be enforced changes for Liverpool today, and there are 4 in total from Jurgen Klopp this afternoon. Out go Virgil van Dijk, the Liverpool captain, who is not in the squad this afternoon. We know that already Wataru Endo off to the Asian Cup, Mo Salah off to the Africa Cup of Nations, and Dominic Szoboszlai injured. So in come Jarell Quansah for an FA Cup debut. Harvey Elliott makes his 50th Liverpool start in all competitions. Curtis Jones comes into the side, and Cody Gakpo comes into the Liverpool 11 as well. Ray Houghton is still alongside me. What do you make then of potentially the setup of that Liverpool team? Do we think Elliott on the right and Gakpo behind Núñez?
Yeah, I think it may be that way. Personally, I think we've got to find a replacement for the next 4 weeks on that right-hand side. I'd actually personally like to see Luis Diaz given an opportunity. Now, people say he plays most of his football on the left. As a wide player myself, during the course of my career, I played on the right and the left. It's not that difficult, to change positions. And I would just like to see someone cement that position for the coming weeks, because we've got so many important games coming up with Mo being away. And it'd be interesting to see Diaz out on that right-hand side. But it might be Harvey that's given that opportunity. Cody Gakpo can play there as well. Cody's very flexible in the number of positions that he can play in. He can play as a number 10 in midfield. He can play a little bit higher up, closer to the centre forward. He can play the centre forward out the wide areas. But the one where it interests me at the moment is the back 4. How many games has Konate and Quansah played together? I wouldn't say that's many. Joe Gomez has to be playing in the left back position because Robertson's out and Tsimikas is out, so that's going to be his position for the foreseeable future until someone comes back from injury. I would imagine if he's playing well enough, they might have a struggle to get back into that position. So this place is up for grabs, but it's now up to the players to perform.
The other point would be that it's not a very loud back 4, you would say. That Virgil van Dijk is the leader there. Andy Robertson is very vocal when he plays. That it's perhaps up to Trent Alexander-Arnold today to sort of marshal them.
Yeah, and it's also up to Konate, as the older member of the 2 centre-halves, to take charge of that area. Now, he should be learning now from Virgil. He's played enough games with Virgil to know how vocal you have to be and how good it is to communicate with your other centre-half to push him into positions. Trent will do that, I'm sure, from the right-back position. The problem is, as an inverted full-back, he goes into the centre quite a lot, a little bit higher up the pitch as a midfielder. So you can't always command your 2 centre-halves in. But they should be working on this. This is an area of the pitch that they know that they work on quite a lot, because when Trent comes into midfield, the right side of centre-half has to go over and cover that area of the field. So I'm sure the manager's been telling the 2 players what their job is coming into this game.
It looks like a sort of 2-man midfield to a certain extent, with probably Gakpo dropping in as and when. But what do you think Liverpool lose, both with no Endo and no Dominic Szoboszlai?
Well, Szoboszlai, his energy up and down the pitch. He's got a great engine on him, and he's got very good awareness. Yeah, there's times maybe in the last few matches he's overcomplicated his game, trying to do a little bit too much in possession of the ball. I don't mind that to a certain degree, because I think he's trying to do the right thing. But when he simplifies it, he'll get even better as the seasons goes on. With Endo, I think, whoever comes in plays in that deep lying role, the job is to protect the 2 centre-halves and allow the other players to go higher up the pitch. You said about Curtis Jones. I thought Curtis was absolutely outstanding against Newcastle. Probably his best game that I've seen him in a long time. We've been talking about Curtis, and you would say the youth team managers have been saying how good he is. But I think now he's actually, the penny's dropped on what he has to do in the game. Moving the ball quicker, getting higher up the pitch, looking a threat, assisting in goals, scoring in goals. He looks a much better all-round player, as if he's realised what is required from him as a player, and long may that continue, because if he keeps playing at the level he did against Newcastle, it'll be hard to take him out of the team.
We will speak in more detail about Arsenal a little bit later on, but just to give you the headlines of the team that Mikel Arteta has selected today, he does make a change in goal, which is not particularly a big surprise. Aaron Ramsdale, who's been sat on the sidelines for much of the season and played just once since the end of November, he comes in place of David Raya. It'll be the same back 4 that played the last League game for Arsenal. Jorginho and Reece Nelson are the outfield players that come into the Arsenal team today. There is no Gabriel Martinelli. Eddie Nketiah drops to the bench as well. So as I said, we will talk about the home team a little later on, but it is 3 changes for Mikel Arteta this afternoon.
Thank you, gents. Well, those keen-eyed viewers amongst you, we noticed that when we went to the boys, there was only Nigel in the studio. When we've come back, he's got a friend. Neil Mellor is here. Neil, nice of you to join us. I believe you've had some car trouble.
Have done, yeah. Blowout on the motor. I'm here, though.
But you're safe, that's the main thing.
Safe, yeah.
That's the thing. Did you change your tyre?
No. Can you change a tyre?
Change your tyre, yeah.
OK, yeah.
Got to be able to change your tyre.
Nigel, can you change your tyre?
Got to change your tyre, mate.
What's that? See?
Hey? See?
Kids today.
Kids today.
Honestly.
These young pros.
I know. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're in one piece. All is good. Well, to the team news then. I guess, Nigel, we were speaking about, before we went and heard from the boys, we wondered what the balance would be. The fact that both managers have effectively gone so strong underlines what was at stake today and who each side is playing.
Absolutely. I think both managers want to win this. Both sets of supporters want to win it, but both sets of players are going to want to win this. And I think with the injuries, I think it's probably the strongest team. So I know Jota's on the bench, which is fantastic. I think he's a wonderful player. Got a great goal-scoring record against Arsenal as well. So it's good to have him on the bench with Gravenberch. Then you've some of the young lads involved. But when we come to the Arsenal team, they're very, very strong as well. But for us, I think, as Ray was talking about, I thought Curtis, last game out, I thought that's the best game I've seen him play. I thought drove from midfield, the energy, moving the ball a lot quicker, which he's been criticised for, slowing the game down too much. I think it's all clicked with him. Hopefully today he'll do the same, because this is a big game for both sets of players today, especially for the likes of Curtis and Elliott. I think it's got to show that they're capable of breaking into this team on a regular basis.
I think with the team news, we need to be changes. The fact that Endo and Salah were away on international duty, the fact that Szoboszlai was injured as well, we need to be 3 changes. The only other change is Van Dijk. Maybe we weren't expecting that, but that's the only other change. Maybe we thought Kelleher would play. He's gone with Alisson in goal, so it's a really strong lineup from Liverpool. What you would say with the midfield, McAllister will come in for Endo, Curtis Jones out on that left-hand side, but Gakpo is certainly a more attacking option in the midfield 3 at a very tough place, which is Arsenal. They've made a few changes as well, but a really strong lineup from Liverpool, and it should be a good game.
In some ways, Nigel, the Arsenal changes at the top end of the field are a little bit more interesting, a bit more surprising, because we've seen, although Havertz made his name playing further forward, he hasn't been used there for Arsenal.
Yep.
And in Reece Nelson, he's a guy who very rarely starts.
Yeah. Well, Reece Nelson, I watched him a lot when he was in the Bundesliga. Young player finding his feet and getting experience. He stayed at Arsenal. He's not had many chances. He came off the bench the other day, did quite well. I think he'll start on the left-hand side instead of Martinelli, who's lost a little bit of form at the moment. Saka will start on the right. Havertz down the middle, where he doesn't particularly like playing. He wants to play off someone, but I think he gives him a bit of size, a bit of power in the air. With his movement, but in the middle of the park, Jorginho coming in, who want to keep the ball. He does slow the game down when they need to slow the game down. But I think with Rice in there, Odegaard, quality players, and then that back 4. I mean, Saliba, I think is a wonderful player. I think he's been outstanding. Gabriel, you can get out a little bit. White gets caught out of position at times, and then they've got the problem left back position. So maybe that's where we can exploit them a little bit today. But 2 very strong teams, and I think Arsenal also with Smith Rowe back on the bench, Nketiah in there as well, Martinelli in there. They've got a strong bench as well.
I think they've changed the balance of the team with Jorginho coming in for Havertz. Havertz a little bit more energy, a little bit more attacking threat maybe from midfield. Jorginho, as you say, would certainly slow the game down a little bit more, wary of the attacking threat from Liverpool. So maybe free Rice to go a little bit more attacking. So a little bit surprised perhaps they've made that change, but with no Jesus, they don't really have the attacking players like we do to bring in. Obviously Saka's a talented player, hasn't really delivered as much this season. Martinelli certainly hasn't, and has been dropped because of his form more than anything else. And yeah, so we're looking at their replacements compared to ours, yeah, they don't quite have the strength in depth like we do.
Saka, there'll be a lot of responsibility on him though as the kind of senior figure in some ways of that attacking triumvirate. It'll be interesting to see how Joe Gomez deals with him and the pace he brings, the attacking quality he brings.
He's a talented player, Saka, there's no doubt about that. I think A lot of people expect a bit too much from him. When you see him compared to Salah, it's like, hang on a minute. You look at his numbers. He's a player who contributes sort of 15 goals, doesn't quite get to the 20 goal level, but he's a player that we have to be mindful of. And I think Gomez has coped very well at left full back so far. We'll know the threat about someone like Saka and have to be on it today.
I think Saka at home is a player who he stretches the game down that right-hand side for them, and it suits Joe a little bit that he's left-footed. He wants to come in, so it's on Joe's stronger right foot rather than going on the outside. He can go on the outside, but I think he fell out with Arteta a little bit, and I think maybe Arteta's looking for a response from him today in this big game against Liverpool from Saka, because when he plays well, Arsenal normally play well.
OK, gents, it is time to say goodbye to our viewers on social media. If you guys want to continue enjoying our Matchday Live build-up, though, on LFC TV and LFC TV Go, then you can do by finding the details of how to become a subscriber online at liverpoolfc.com/watch. Still to come, before kick-off, we'll be hearing from Diogo Jota, Jurgen Klopp and Mikel Arteta. Audio commentary of all the action at the Emirates is on the way from 4:30. And then at 6:30, we'll bring you analysis and interviews in the Matchday Reaction. The full match will be available to watch globally on LFC TV from midday tomorrow and on demand on Go to UK subscribers. And to look out for exclusive behind-the-scenes footage when Inside lands on YouTube and Facebook at some point tomorrow evening. It is Arsenal versus Liverpool in the FA Cup third round as Jurgen Klopp's men begin their battle for silverware on a fourth front this season. We'll be back with more build-up in a couple of minutes' time. We'll see you then.
It's about where your dad went. It's about where your grandfather went. It's about a build-up over the years, a story.